get started, today we are doing the media journey for cadets. So if you are not a Girl Scout, this is still something great to join in and tune in. If you're not a cadet even, I hope that you still watch and participate, because we're going to be talking about some important things. So the media journey, I'm going to be kind of working through session 2 of that, and there's going to be a little bit of homework for you, but good homework, right? Fun stuff. But the session 2 of the media journey, and it's M-E capital media journey, is that we're going to be talking about stereotypes and kind of even more kind of talking about diversifying beauty as well. And these are 2 important topics for me. I'm going to kind of just give you a little bit of my background, which is why you're also seeing my crowns back here. We're going to talk a little bit about stereotypes of girls and women, and how we can look at beauty a little bit differently as well. So keep popping in those comments. I love seeing where you're from. Oh, dancing, I love that. Gardening, I wish I had a green thumb. Unfortunately, I don't. So maybe you guys can provide me some advice on gardening, because I need all the help I can get. But let's go ahead and get right into it. We're going to be talking about stereotypes and, really unmasking the media stereotypes. I'm going to give you a little bit of background history about me. As you can see this is like mirrored image, so it's really weird to look at this way. If you can see my crowns in the back, I do participate in the pageant industry, which many of you may know that there are a lot of stereotypes. Just even being a woman, we're stereotyped, right? Whatever you're involved in sometimes is stereotyped. And for me personally, being involved in pageantry, we do have that stereotype that, it's all about outer beauty, and that's really not the case at all. And I was Mrs. Ohio a couple of years ago. I've held a few other national titles and even an international title as well. And what I love about being able to utilize my title is that I have met so many amazing, very talented women in this industry that are doing some amazing things for organizations. And I love that as Mrs. Ohio, I was able to, not only talk about, as title holder, talk about Girl Scouts and really all of the great things that Girl Scouts are doing for girls, but I am really highly involved in the Invisible Disabilities Association. So as Mrs. Ohio, that was something I was able to utilize my title to shed light on and to talk more and raise awareness. So that's a stereotype that I always, start with being stereotyped, because it's important to know that it's out there everywhere. And even as a woman, I think a lot of our stereotypes are, you should like this or you should be into that. And for me, I love cars. So that's something that not a lot of people, you would look at me and think that, because it's not the stereotype that fits the mold, right? I love cars. So last year I bought an old classic car. It's a 1976 Triumph TR6. It's a little British roadster, and I've been working on it. My husband owns an automotive performance shop, and he's been teaching me the ways, sort of. The teacher relationship with us, I don't know about that, but I'm learning how to work on my own car. And, I love driving it, and it's an old car, so it drives like an old car, but that's not something typical. When people meet me, they don't necessarily think that I know a lot about cars, and I do, and I love it. I used to, back in the day, I used to drag race on the race track, and it was something that not very many women or girls were a part of. I mean, I remember one race in particular, I think there were 3 of us women, and there were over 100, men involved, and it was really just cool to be a part of something that is not stereotypical for us. And I loved being able to kind of be a leader in that kind of industry and to show that I could hold my own, right? So there are so many stereotypes out there. And one thing I want to really talk about is kind of unmasking those stereotypes in the media. So if you saw some of the pre-work, I did ask that maybe you have a magazine handy, or, we all have our phones, right? So maybe you could afterwards, if you want to, Google some images. But I really am encouraging you to, maybe if you do have your magazine, which let me grab mine here. So if you have a magazine, you know, kind of just thumb through it really quickly till you reach an ad. And I'd be curious to know, when you look at that ad, what do you see? Do you see, how do you see the female in the ad being portrayed? How do you see the male in the ad being portrayed? Maybe there are kids, you know, that whatever it is that you're looking at, let me know if you have an ad, you know, handy, a magazine ad or just some sort of advertisement that has people in it. How are they being portrayed? You know, so generally advertising is out there to sell you something, right? So if you use this, you're going to look like this, or if you move here, you're going to be happy, or if you buy this, this will make you happy, right? So, oh, I love girls break stereotypes. Yes, me too. I do love that. So, and yes, as a model, correct, you know, there are tons of stereotypes that you have to be a certain size, you have to be a certain look, and this and that. And that's what I love about today, is that there's so many people breaking the barriers of those stereotypes, right? We've come so far, especially as girls and women, we've really come very far. There's still so much more work to do, don't get me wrong, but that's what I want to talk about, some of the positives. When I was doing my homework for this and going through and pulling out some advertisements, I was actually pleasantly surprised. But the content that I was looking at was also geared a little bit differently. So, so if you have your advertisement out in front of you, and then I encourage you to look at that. And what are you seeing? You know, is there a female in there? What is she portraying to you? What is, you know, what is it? Is she matching kind of what the advertisement is for? I know sometimes I look at an ad and I'm like, what is this even trying to sell me, right? And so there's those stereotypes of this woman has to be dressed this way to be able to sell this particular item. And that to me sometimes always just raises some questions. So, but I did notice when I was going through the advertisements, and I want to show you a few of mine. So hopefully you're looking at yours, but let's also, while we're talking about ads, let's look at the good portrayals. So the good stereotypes, right? There's some good ones out there as well. And some of my favorite ads that I kind of found when I was looking through, now again, I was going through some women's health books, magazines, and really kind of more geared towards girls and women. But I love, there's certain campaigns and organizations out there that are really, really breaking those barriers and really kind of shattering the stereotypes. And one of them you'll see here. So this, what I love about this advertisement is up in the very corner, it actually says no digital distortion. So that means that this has not been photoshopped. It's not been airbrushed. It's not been photoshopped. I love that you're seeing this woman as who she is, right? And that's one thing that a lot of advertisements, you know, kind of talking about unmasking, is that you don't even really know if it's the true, you're really seeing what you're seeing, right? There's so many advertisements that are, you know, photoshopped and changed, or, you know, things are changed and look differently on there. So this is one thing I love, that they're kind of, with this campaign, that they're talking about, you know, no digital, they're not changing this in any way. So that was one really positive ad that I found. And another that, you know, as far as stereotypes with models having to look a certain way, or, you know, the women in the advertisement has to look a certain way, I love this. So if you can see this advertisement, I love that she is different, right? She's different maybe than some of us. And I love that we are showcasing that now, and that this is a beautiful woman, right, that we're seeing here in this advertisement, and she's really showing us exactly who she is. And that's the one thing that's part of this campaign, is that we're seeing no airbrushing, no changes, you know, you're seeing the real, true person for who they are. So that's a really cool way, I think, to break some of those stereotypes about, you know, models or advertisements in general. Here's another one talking about age and showing that, you know, women of all ages and, you know, people of all ages, that we can break those stereotypes. And this is just a really, really great way to showcase that. So I do see some of you have some advertisements. I love that. So hopefully you're kind of, to look at what the, maybe what the model or what the advertisement is saying and how they are portraying the person in that advertisement. Here's another one I really liked, again, kind of part of that campaign. You're seeing all different various people, all different ages and races and ethnicities and even religions. And I love that we are breaking down those barriers and saying, hey, we want to see more people like us in these advertisements, and it's happening. Here's another one. I love this. A lot of times women are not necessarily portrayed as strong, right? And I love that this is one of the Williams sisters, but we all know she's an amazing athlete. But I love that you're seeing her strength here, and that, yes, this is for Gatorade, and we all know that Gatorade is great for different sports athletes, people use that. But I love that we're seeing her strength, and it's not just her maybe standing there. We're seeing her in action, and we're really seeing that, side in this advertisement. So very, very cool there. And again, just another one, very active female, and that's typically something that we see a lot of, men that do, activities and, do all these sports and whatnot. And we're seeing more women in those roles when they're showcasing that. Now, something else I noticed in talking about stereotypes, right, is that I looked at some of my car magazines, okay? So it's looking at, as a female, yes, I'm looking at the women's health magazine. So a lot of those advertisements are going to be geared towards me. So I kind of flipped the switch and looked at some of the car magazines that come to our home. And I looked at all the advertisements in there. And you would be very surprised that, this one here is actually for the magazine itself. And it could have just as easily had a woman in the car, right? That would have helped me, look at this and say, I can see myself in this vehicle, or I want to learn more about this magazine because they really, focus on my wants and desires, right? Same thing with this. This is actually an ad for tires. And this easily could have been a female standing here too. And it would have, been really interesting to me. I mean, it's still an interesting ad, whatnot, but I think that you could have easily replaced this figure with a female standing there, right? So kind of portraying that, putting that out there that, women are interested in different things as well. And one thing I do love, I have to, of course, bring this up. So I love, I don't know if any of you have seen the new packaging for Girl Scout cookies. I love seeing that, girls are active. We do all these things. We go canoeing and we go on adventures, right? So even as a Girl Scout, a lot of times we are stereotyped, as, oh, it's just about cookies and crafts. It's so much more than that. We go camping and we love doing, all of those amazing, fun, super fun, adventurous activities. We do all of that. And I love that the new cookie boxes are portraying girls, in that kind of light. We're breaking those stereotypes to show we do all the fun stuff too. We do all these great adventures, and we love it. So I just wanted to kind of point that out to show you that, we can get past these stereotypes. So what I'm going to encourage you, here's your first little bit of what I'm going to call homework, is to really pay attention to the content and what it is that you're watching, even the TV ads that are coming on, or the books or magazines that you read. How are they portraying that female figure in that book? How is she being portrayed? How is she being viewed in that advertisement that you're watching? We are Girl Scouts, so that's why I'm kind of focusing more on the women aspect of it. But you can also look at, how are the kids being portrayed? How do they relate to reality and to real life? If they're happy all the time, or they're looking like, is that real life? Just think about, kind of use those critical thinking skills a little bit more while you're watching TV, or you're, browsing the web, or you're, kind of going through your social media even, you know, and see those influencers out there, how are they being, is how they're being portrayed really kind of matching up to reality? And, you know, and what is the stereotype there? And is she helping that stereotype? And kind of, are we breaking that? And to show that, you know, we're so much more than that, right? So that's your little bit of homework, is to think about the content that you're watching and reading, and those magazines or different things that you're viewing, and really look at, you know, what is the stereotype that maybe this person is breaking because of this. Just like those ads that I was kind of showing, you know, that, you know, we're showing all sorts of different women, right? We're breaking those stereotypes that you have to look a certain way in order to be part of an advertisement campaign. And that's absolutely, you know, not the case here. So I encourage you to look for those positive aspects too. You know, look at those companies that are really helping, you know, to portray women in different lights, right? You know, we love doing different things and breaking those stereotypes. So that's your first little bit of homework. Now, the second is, second part of this is that we're going to be talking about diversifying beauty. And I know for me, oftentimes when I've gone into an interview in pageantry, because an interview is a huge, huge part of that experience. You know, you have to sit down and talk to people and have conversations, and they want to hear what your, you know, what the is that you want to leave. And a big part is, you know, talking with them so that they get to know you. And I know one question that I've gotten a number of times is, how do you define beauty? And I would love to hear if you can pop in the comments, and I'll get a minute because I know I'm on a delay. I would love to hear, how do you define beauty? What is it that defines beauty for you? So I'm curious of that. So pop in the comments. It can just be a couple words. You know, how, when something is beautiful, how, or something has beauty to it, how do you define that? So I'm going to give you just a minute. While you're doing that, I do have cats, and I may have seen them running around in the background. One is snoozing right next to me, so he's good. But, you know, being home all the time, they're starting to act up all the time, and I never know what's happening. So I apologize if you see them running around behind me. But let's hear how you define beauty. I'm going to give you just a couple of my thoughts on that while you're kind of, you know, popping in your thoughts there in the comments section. But I define beauty when, I think when somebody is really, yes, being themselves. To me, when somebody knows who they are and loves who they are, to me, that is really beautiful. I think that, you know, being confident and proud of your talents, your abilities, you know, your accomplishments, where you've come in life, that is, yes, your natural self, being naturally you. That I'm totally 100% in agreement with that. That to me says, you know, beauty. And I love that you're all agreeing with that too. So thank you for that. But I think there's so many great ways to define beauty. And there's so many other words even that we can use other than pretty and beautiful. So that's part of what I would like to kind of talk about during the diversifying beauty conversation. And this is where I hopefully you saw in the notes, I asked you to bring a little Post-it notepad. If you don't have Post-it notes, that's okay. If you have a piece of scratch paper or something nearby you, if you could grab that. I'm going to look here. Yes, being comfortable with yourself. Yes, not changing for anybody. I love that. Beauty is almost magical, comes in from inside out. Absolutely love, love, love that. Being authentic, having integrity, your natural self, being natural, being you. These are all such amazing descriptions of the word beauty. So let's even dig a little bit deeper. So pull out that little Post-it note or your scratch paper, And let's think about the other words that say something is beautiful. So I'm going to actually start with an object. So I grabbed a couple of things that I kind of had nearby that I would say to me are beautiful objects. Okay. So first is this little piece of pottery that I have. So my husband and I we like to collect antiques. Again, another, I think, stereotype that a lot of times people think that antique collectors are a certain way or a certain age even. And, my husband and I go all kinds of antique shows in when they were happening. And, we go to a lot of antique stores, but I collect a lot of antiques. And this is one that in particular, I think is beautiful. But so here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I want you to take a look at this and come up with some other words to describe this other than be beautiful or pretty. Okay, so what about it? So for me, I would say I love the color palette. I think that the color palette is really pleasing to my eye. It's kind of like the aqua, turquoise, blue. It's got some green and white in there. I really love that color palette. So to me, that's pleasing to the eye. I also love the texture. It's really got this intricate kind of texture in some things here that you can see that you can't necessarily feel. So I'm gonna feel that for you and tell you. But it's got some texture to it. To me, that helps to make it beautiful, in my opinion, is that it's got this really ornate texture to it. I also love the shape of it. I think the shape is very interesting. It makes it kind of more creative and unique. Okay, so these are all great words that describe, yes, it has some texture. It's, create is another great way to talk about beauty, right? This is different. It's unique. The handles look like cat ears. Hey, they kind of do. I like that. I do have cats, as I mentioned, so I like that. Maybe that's why I really, really like it, the cat ears. So these are all great ways. So hopefully you write down some of those words that we kind of just talked about, or words that you think of. It's elegant, stunning, marvelous. I love that. All right, write down those words. It's unique, it's different, it's creative, it's got some great texture to it. It has a good color palette. It's decorative. Great words. Great words. Okay, so there's one piece. Now, here's the second piece I'm going to show you. This is one of my stained glass artwork. So this is a flower, and if you can see, it's got this really cool kind of shimmery detail. I put rhinestones in there. Love me some bling, right? So about this piece is I find that I made it. So it's completely unique. There's not any other pieces out there like this. So you'll never be able to find an exact piece like this. Maybe some similar pieces. If you know somebody that, does some stained glass artwork, there might be some. It is completely 100% unique. I probably never even recreate this same exact thing, even if I wanted to. So that I find this to be really beautiful is that it sparkles. It has this really beautiful ornate detail to it, and because I made it, right? So I'm super proud of it. I have it displayed right in my front entrance. It has lots of layers to it. It looks like it could be in a. It does. It's a gorgeous flower. So what I love about the different petals are that each of the pieces of glass, and I don't know that you can see this necessarily, but they have their own kind of shimmer to them. So it shimmers its own, each individual petal even has its own way of shimmering when you catch the light, these different ways, and the rhinestones collect, that fun shiny shimmer to it. It sparkles, it shines. So these are all, again, great words. So now your last little bit of homework, what I'm going to ask you to do is to take those words that you were kind of using for the pieces that I was showing you, and I want you to look around your room, or kind of maybe even once we're done here, you want to walk away and look somewhere else. Look at objects that you particularly find in your house that you think are beautiful, and really dig deeper into what makes them pretty to you. You know, what makes them beautiful to you? Is it because they're, you know, artistic, or they're colorful, or they're unique, or they're exquisite, or you like the color palette, or the fact that it has cat ear handles? You know, but think about all of those different different words, and look at objects in your house or in your home or in your bedroom or wherever it is that you're at, and think about those other words to describe that object. Then what I want you to do is about yourself. Okay, so this very last little bit, I want you to think about yourself. Look at those words that you wrote down on your little Post-it note, okay, that you were just sharing with me here. You know, creative, and let's see, sparkles, and unique, and elegant, and stunning. I really like the word unique. I love, love, love that word. And I want you to think about what makes you beautiful, right? So think about those unique, and, you know, being natural, who you are, and think about those words. I want you to write them down for yourself. Look for an object first, talk about that using some really great descriptive words and what makes it beautiful. I want you to think about yourself and what makes you beautiful. And I want you to write that down on your Post-it note and stick it on a mirror, okay? So we can continue to work on breaking down those stereotypes when we break them in ourselves, right? So I want you to think about yourself as being beautiful, and what is it that makes you beautiful from the inside out. Write those words down on a little sticky note, put it on your mirror, and I would love to see what words you came up. So take a picture of it, and post it in the comments later. I would love, love, love to see that. But this is just a really good daily information and a reminder to yourself that we are all beautiful in all the different ways that we are, right? There's so many other words than having to say pretty and beautiful that make us that way. So you're unique, and you're, you know, elegant, you're creative, all of those wonderful words. I would love, love, love to see you put them on a sticky note, stick it on your mirror. I want to see those sticky note pictures, okay? So let us know what you came up with. But thank you so much for tuning in. This was the second session of the media journey for cadets. If you are not a Girl Scout, please consider checking out and learning more about Girl Scouts and Girl Scouts of Western Ohio at gso.org/join.